They came to the new frontier to find a new home, a new life, and a new beginning in the new world. However, they didn't expect to find that they weren't alone.
What is that?
Looks like some kind of an egg.
In the new frontier, no one can hear you scream. AVP, Aliens vs. Pioneers, coming soon.
Who disrupts my coronation? Everyone has been destroyed because of this freak. I won't allow it! These babies just saved this lame fest party!
What's going on? You are listening to ThisWeekInGeek.net. I'm your host, Mike the Birdman, and well, happy 17 years to TWIG, the podcast that began as a little podcast that could once upon a time at Niagara College before the world basically decided to destroy itself, and we're in this never-ending news cycle of I don't know whatever happens week to week in this never-ending corridor of change when it comes to co-host, but it's been stable for the last 7 years at this point.
Pretty much 7 years in April, right?
Yeah, 7 years in April. That is the other man who makes TWIG run consistently in the back end, does a lot of the workhorse stuff that I just can't do. My brother in arms, my compatriot, my brother, my best friend. That is
Alex, the producer.
So
and we're back, man. Like it's It feels like it was a long break, but it was well needed.
Oh my God, so much needed. Yeah. So the last time you heard from us on a live show, we were probably talking about the Game Awards or talking about the TWIG annual holiday gift guide this year, which was wonderfully supported by so many of our friends and partners out there, either from the RPG industry, board game, various new partners like the folks who do the Ninja and Shark products, and just so many people just amazingly supported this year. This year already we're starting to shape up thinking, oh my God, but that's okay. So yeah, we took a couple of weeks off. As Alex said, it was definitely well needed. I spent a lot of my time watching a lot of really cool Guelph Storm hockey, which was fantastic to go down to the Sleeman Center. We finally snapped the losing streak we were on this past week in a pretty decisive fashion. Fantastic game against the Flint Firebirds. And that actually led to an interesting conversation. I've been talking with a couple of my friends on the Storm Trackers fan club, which is run by my other best friend, Jordan. And I think I might be running for their executive next year. So I might be doing stuff with, I might be doing some stuff with their social media. And we had this really funny idea. Cause I'm terrible with faces, but I'm good with names. So if it's like, hey, Mike, that is so-and-so, and they play for so-and-so, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. But if you show me their picture, I don't know who they are. So we were just kind of joking in the second period. We're like, what if we made a version of Guess Who using like Storm players? And I'm thinking, that would be a really good way to learn faces, actually, because it was funny. So I'm in the media room this past week, and I go in there before the game. I get my sheet. I look at the scratches. I look at the kind of lineup, right? And one of the players is walking past me, and I wear this very bright pink Guelph Storm hat with some of the players' buttons on it, right? Because I'm always the super supportive, happy, fun guy. And like, oh, hey, Mike. I'm like, hi. Like, hey, I love your hat. And I'm pretty sure one of the players who was on my hat just passed me. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm thinking, I wish I knew who that was. I've got a sneaking suspicion I know who it was. Again,
you're such a face blind guy.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. I am so face blind unless I see you week to week and I interact with you. I don't know who you are. And there's this another OHL official, the guy who relays stuff from ice level back up to the top at the broadcast booth, and he's been saying hi to me the last couple of weeks. I think his name's Adam, and I always felt so bad. He's like, "Oh hey Mike," and I'll see some other people like, "Oh hey Mike," I'm like, "Hi," and again I don't know names, and I'm in this room filled with like veteran broadcasters and like NHL scouts and everyone. I'm like, "Hi, guy in the wheelchair. I'm just going to grab my coffee and go. Thanks." And it feels just so weird, just that people know who I am. I don't know who they are. And I don't want to be rude and say, "Who are you?" But yeah, so one of the things I also did during this break, and Alex will attest because he probably saw me online a lot. I played video games this entire break. I took a bit of a social media hiatus, but I would take time to post pictures from my playthrough. I played the entirety of Baldur's Gate 3 in about 100-something hours. I'm going to be talking about this on Botched Roll, so I won't be going into a whole kind of lot of this, but what an amazing gaming experience. It has revitalized my love of D&D, so much so I'm changing my character in the private game that I play with on Monday nights with my friend Paul. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, this is awesome. And I finally finished that. I started playing more of the Pokemon DLC for Pokemon Scarlet. I finished the main game. I beat the Elite Four. I did all the star bases. And now I'm into the Indigo Disc, I think it is, or whatever, which has been a lot of fun because Pokemon Go has this connectivity between it. So now you can add Pokemon you catch that weren't in the game before into Scarlet. So now my Pokedex is growing. Ken helped me out during the break to fill out some of the gaps that I just couldn't get because I'm like, I'm not going to grind for some of these things. I just want to complete Pokedex. And what else did I play during the break? I played some Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse 2 because that's like my comfort game, but I think Baldur's Gate's going to be that new game now. Just trying out new builds and stuff. What else did I play? Man, I'm pretty sure I just lived in Baldur's Gate for like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And then what else did I do during my? I watched an entire season of an anime show, which was really fun for me. So I was able to watch 13 episodes in a week because just before we came back on air this like past week, I was like, oh my God, I got to go back to work on Sunday. Shit, I got to cram something fast. What is 20 minutes that Alex has been bugging me to watch? Shit, I don't know. What's on my watch list? What's on my Funimation app? I don't care. Just watch it. And I did. There's 4 seasons of the show. I'm halfway through the second. So awesome. I don't want to say what it is because it's embarrassing. But I'm fucking loving it. And that's
just have fun, whatever it is.
Yeah. And it's just been great. Just being able to just watch something. Because like you and I, when we consume content, it's usually for the show. It's usually for work in some capacity. And we don't get a chance to just enjoy. So during the break, that's something else I did. So as you guys know, I'm a writer for Star Trek Adventures. And I started watching Deep Space Nine. And I really like DS9. Not as much as Voyager, but I really get it. And a lot of people were saying the first season is rough. I kind of disagree. I kind of like it, although Dr. Bashir is a bit of a sex pest. Other than that, I thoroughly enjoy it.
First season's rough on every Star Trek show.
Oh yeah, like there is not a good first season among any of them. Maybe Lower Decks, and Prodigy, which is funny how the animated gets
Lower Decks had characterization issues until they smoothed it out in the season 2. So it's probably Prodigy that has the strongest first season.
Yeah, which is weird because now that show has got a very bizarre second life, how it was basically assimilated by Netflix through whatever.
Maybe Strange New Worlds. Like,
yeah,
it depends
maybe.
who you ask. I think we ended up liking season 1 more than season 2.
Yeah. I guess you could maybe split the difference on Star Trek Discovery season 1. Some people liked it, some people hate it. It had my attention, but I didn't love it. But it wasn't terrible.
It's probably the best season they had of that show. We didn't realize it at the time.
I think season 2 was pretty cool with the Red Angel thing, but when they went to the future, I was like, okay, this is kind of goofy.
Every single thing on Star Trek Discovery is the red this, the red that, shut up.
Hey,
Shut up.
At least it's not Borg green. Look at it that way. At least they're not overdoing that. But I don't think of what else I did. I had a really good Christmas. I actually got pretty much everything I wanted to. And then I've discovered the toy collector's problem. And you're going to make fun of me for this. So I love my big boy Transformers. I love these specific ones called Titans. And Blair got me the Nemesis, which is the Decepticon ship that they come to Earth on. And this is the first time that ship has ever transformed. It's the first time it's ever been made as an officially licensed toy. So it's the companion piece to the Ark, which is the Autobot shuttle. And it fits on a shelf if I make it do a Frankenstein pose. What do I mean? It looks like it's reaching out to grab you with its hands because it has these impossibly large shoulder blades. And I have to put it on my shelf in just an awkward thing. So Blair literally, she spent like a week cleaning off a DVD shelf. She did this for me while I was gone away one day, and she set up my Transformers for me. So now I've got Metroplex, Trypticon, the Ark, the Nemesis, Omega Supreme, Scorponok, the Omega Sentinel we reviewed last year, and then I got Fortress Maximus off Facebook Marketplace at a stupid price. And now Hasbro Pulse has just announced Tidal Wave from Transformers Energon, and I'm looking at it thinking, I want it. I want to review it. But where do I put you? So that'll be a very interesting conversation with Hasbro at some point next year.
What's that, Michael?
Year, I mean.
Sell your old Ghostbusters house?
Shut up. Never going to happen. Although Ghostbusters just released the Target and GameStop exclusive Fright feature. So those are the toys where you squeeze together their legs and like their faces make like funny cartoon faces.
Where like the eyes popped out and everything.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm so excited for that because Frozen Empire just about a month and a half away.
Maybe, depending on how weather is and that, maybe we can get together to watch that.
You are so fucking on. I will take the taxi to you, and we are going to roll in fucking style, man.
Because then we can check it out at the 4K laser screen here, and I've been bragging about it with you, and it's like weather has not been kind.
Oh my god. Okay, dude, my battery dies outside in about 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like it is crazy.
You think that batteries work better in the cold, but not once a battery gets to a certain level of size, it doesn't.
Yeah, like I was so surprised. Like I was actually saying this with like Blair. Typically, like once November, maybe mid-November hits, I just can't go outside because it's too cold or there's snow for my wheelchair. This year's been really good. I got out until about the second week of December. I was able to kind of roll around Guelph, but then the snow hit. But because of the cold, it wasn't so bad recently. So the first or second week of January hit here, and it got so cold. I used to be able to go to Walmart because, there wasn't any ice on the sidewalks. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go drive down. It's so cold now, and it's about a 2-kilometer drive. So it's not a bad walk or a drive anyway. My battery can make it there. No problem during the summer. During the summer, I can get 25 kilometers in my chair, and I often push it right to the red limit. This time, I made it to Walmart. My battery's at 70%. I'm like, all right, cool, 30%. That's a little bit strange, but okay, sure. And I come home. I made it home with 3%. So it went from 70 to 3 in 2 kilometers. So Blair's like, yeah, you're not going outside unless you take a bus anymore. And because it's so cold, the mobility bus is always booked. So
yeah, basically
I'm stuck here. But that has been my break. It was fantastic. What about yours?
I was able to finally catch up, like you said, playing stuff for fun for us. I with either Christmas presents or borrowing stuff from people or getting a chance to go through my back catalog. I was able to play the Star Ocean Second Story remake on the PS5. That was super fun. I played Mario RPG, which was awesome. It's basically just how I remembered it, with the same extremely frustrating part right near the end where you have to platform through vines to go up to the Cloud City, which I remember almost throwing my Super Nintendo out the window when that game came out, and it's just as hard now because of poor design choices, which they carried over. And then been playing some stuff for review, but basically I was able to catch up on a bunch of games and RPGs that I hadn't been able to before. I've been working on a few reviews that I can't talk about just yet because embargoes and all that fun stuff. But I was able to do that. Visited family for a little bit, and then because how cold and crappy weather we got, we finally got like -30 weather with crazy amounts of snow. I basically hibernated for a little bit and sort of started watching a few different anime shows, similar to you, where I was like, let me test out a bunch of new shows. Some were crap, I don't ever want to see them again, and some maybe I'll continue on. I won't talk about them just yet until I know for sure if I'm going to watch a whole season or not. But yeah, it was a bit more low key than other Christmas times, but it was nice to just sort of be inside and toasty and warm while doing this stuff. I've also been out to see the movies a couple times. I saw the Jason Statham movie, The Beekeeper, which is hilarious and awesome, and it's maybe the best '90s action movie that just happened to come out in 2024. As well as, what else did I see?
I saw Wonka and I saw Aquaman. Wonka head and shoulders above Aquaman.
Okay. I did not see that. But my mom wanted to go see Night Swim, and that movie's not a good movie. She really liked it though. So that's all that matters, right? She's the one that wanted to see it. She had a good time. I had a good time watching it, but I'm like, this is a bad movie. And she's like, this is a great movie. And I'm like, Mom,
no.
You got such terrible taste, but I'm very happy that you enjoyed yourself going out. So we saw that. What else did I see in theaters? I saw, that's a good question, thinking about it, because I saw Beekeeper, I saw that. I saw something else recently as well.
I wanted to go see Migration, but I could just never get the buses to line up with me wanting to go. So I guess I'm just going to wait for the VOD for that.
I've been in the similar boat where I had a free ticket, like a redemption booked for it, and then the weather turned to shit, and I was like, well, I was able to cancel my ride, but not cancel the movie, so they got my money, or they got the voucher or whatever. Same goes for, what else was I going to do that with? There's another movie that happened to where it's like they got their money from me, but I couldn't get a refund, but whatever. I saw something else though, because I'm trying to think, because it's been sort of like, there was a bunch of movies that came out, but it's been sort of a deluge of not a ton of stuff. A lot of the theaters are getting like all the Oscar movies back, or movies that were in theaters last summer, they're putting back in because there's just nothing really coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But like December, usually there's some good stuff. I don't think I saw pretty much anything in December because most of the movies got bad reviews.
Yeah, like I saw Aquaman on opening night just because I wanted to go. Blair didn't care. Aquaman 2, it's fine, and that's its biggest crime. It's fine. It's entertaining, but it's fine. It's on opening night. I would have expected more people because, if this is the finale of the Snyderverse, there was 25 of us. Maybe. And
wow.
When I went to Wonka on a Sunday afternoon, I think it was the week of release, there was probably about 100 people, and there are a lot of kids, and that movie was wonderful. I actually bought, if you go back on my social media, I actually bought the Wonka hat popcorn bucket, and it's actually, yeah, it looks like Wonka's hat, and if it wasn't a popcorn bucket, like, this actually fits really nice. Too bad this is made out of plastic. But yeah, it was a fun time. I had such a fun time with that movie, and it really shows how much I love musicals. So I really want to go out and see the Mean Girls musical movie when that comes out. I think it's like this week or next week.
Probably. Yeah, it was the Iron Claw. That's the one I saw, the wrestling movie.
Yeah, that one I want to see because I'm really curious.
I'll tell you right now, when you watch the movie, like, there's sad moments because it's a pretty tragic story. They cut out stuff. There is another brother that committed suicide.
Oh.
That they cut out from this movie because they thought it was too unrealistic and too depressing. So, and it's like, that's the real story was so bad they had to cut out one of the entire family members because it was just too much.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
And they they basically combined what happened to two different brothers into one person
Oh,
in the
wow.
movie. But yeah, as far as what's coming out this little bit here is, what day are we on now? We are am I looking at the wrong? I'm looking at 2023. That's not the right. I was like, those movies aren't right. But yeah, The Beekeeper is well worth it. ISS is out this week. That's the one about the International Space Station, and what happens if Earth goes to nuclear war when they're up there.
Mhm.
It's like, that could be terrifying, and I don't know if I want to watch it because of that. Mean Girls, like you said, is this coming week.
Yeah, I'll probably go see that. Probably not opening night because I'll be at hockey. But yeah, I'll probably go see it maybe next Sunday afternoon after we record the show. Maybe I'll see if I can get Blair for a date night.
On my birthday on the 2nd is Argyle. That's the movie. I believe, is it Matthew Vaughn, the guy that did the what's it called, the Kingsman movies, I think. Yeah, that's the one with the cat, and it's like a spy movie, and it's got a bazillion celebrities in it. So
I'm
maybe
curious.
that might be good. And then following is Lisa. I've seen a lot of trailers for this Lisa Frankenstein, which is,
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it's about.
What if Frankenstein was a teenage girl in the 80s?
Okay, sure. So
80s or 90s or something, makes a boyfriend from scratch, basically.
So Frankenhooker, but family friendly.
Maybe something like that.
Okay, sure.
And then like that, I think it's the only major. Like, there's other things coming up, but I think it's the only major release the following week. And then in February, which is usually kind of a dead month, is Madam Web.
I'm gonna see that only because it looks so dumb, and then I just found out it's a period piece. So I better hear a Linkin Park or a Nickelback needle drop.
Is it? Oh, how much do you want to bet? It's nonstop 9/11 references.
See, I don't know. And I've also heard people say they cut out all the period piece stuff. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. I'm curious.
Okay.
If Sony contacts us for a press screening, I'll find a way to go.
It's period piece. I think, isn't it like 2003 or something it's set in?
Some shit like that, yeah.
But how much you want to bet they're so lazy that all the cars are modern cars?
Yeah, I've kind of got a feeling.
Don't forget, and I'm not talking like, oh, it's close. There was a 2005 Nissan. No. In 2002, everybody was still driving cars from 1993.
Yeah.
So, like, in 2002, you might have like a Dodge Neon from 96, and that was like a common car people still drove. That's the biggest mistake people make, is when they make a movie and they base it in like 1976, they then fill it with cars from 1975. It's like, no. In 1976, people were still driving 60s cars because cars lasted longer.
Like the guy I used to be best friends with around that time, he was driving a 96 Tercel. I think my girlfriend at the time was driving something like that too. So
people drove 1989 Toyota Tercels from 1989 to 2004. Right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? People that had those cars, they didn't just get rid of them.
Yeah, they drove them into the ground. But yeah, speaking of things,
yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty much it. Like, there's a few small little things here and there coming out in these sort of pictures, but then nothing until June and March.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. So we got a lot of stuff to cover today on our first show back. Like I said, 17 years. Old enough to drive, almost old enough to buy a lottery ticket. We'll wait and see what happens with this year of TWIG. We're glad to be back. So in this show for reviews, we are going to be taking a look at the seminal 90s football movie, Varsity Blues. First time seeing it for myself. That comes from our friends over at Paramount Home Entertainment. Sony was kind enough to send over The Last of Us 2 Remastered. We'll be talking about that as news of the HBO series casting of Abby has just recently been announced, and I'm sure the online discourse is going to be kind about that because it always is. Grown. And then finally, Alex, what will be looking at coming from you?
I'm going to be checking out Super Mario Wonder, which obviously came out around the holiday season last year, right leading up into the holidays. And Nintendo contacted me now, and they said, hey, would you like to check this out? We didn't get a chance to check it out earlier in the year, and now we're into a new year. We're starting out 2024, and it's still our big title right now. And I said, yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So we got all that and more coming up right here on This Week in Geek. So we are going to kick things off by entering the cordyceps-filled apocalypse wasteland that is Seattle. This is The Last of Us 2 Remastered right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net. I've been Mike the Birdman. He's been Alex the producer. We'll be right back right after this.
I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different.
Ellie!
But they ain't.
Please stop!
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here, and I'm here to talk about something really cool we got from our friends over at Sony Computer Entertainment. We're going to be talking about The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered on the PlayStation 5. A review code was provided to us. So, what can I say about The Last of Us Part 2 that hasn't already been said? It is a masterpiece. It is a game that pretty much divided the fan base right down the middle. I loved this game, I really do, but it is an experience to say the very least, and I don't want to go into any spoilers because it is a story that you should best experience for yourself, taking place several years after the original game. Does follow the further adventures of Ellie, and I'll just say this time it's personal. And well, it's one of those games that can and will break your heart at several junctions. Like I said, nothing really here has been changed in terms of the original game, but it's the remastered content that really kind of makes this kind of special. So you get a couple of different things here that I should probably highlight. So you do get what's known as the guitar free play mode. So this is there's that guitar mini game that pops up when you're in Seattle for the first time, but here you can do a lot more with it. You can actually freely play everything. And when the community gets a hold of this, I can only imagine what videos are going to pop up on YouTube after this, because you can add like effects pedals, you can play with different types of guitars. There's like a banjo in there, there's electric guitars. I haven't had a chance to play with any of them outside of the bass acoustic. I have purchased them using the points in the game, which that's something to kind of mention. You can import your save game from the original PlayStation 4 game over, which saves me a lot of my unlocks, which was really, really kind of nice. And it's pretty cool. I really, really appreciated that. And you can also use different skins. You can actually play as the game's composer, Gustavo, I think, and you can choose different backgrounds to play your guitar in. Again, can't wait to see what the YouTube and TikTok community does with this. That should be really cool. And then there's the big thing, which is sort of the lost levels. This was hyped up before release, where there's 3 separate levels with optional developer commentary. There's an intro video by Neil Druckmann where he kind of talks about it for a minute, but there'll be little interactive elements within these environments where a member of the dev team will come up and say, okay, here's what we were doing here. Here was some of our thought process. There's a party in Jackson. There's a sewer level that was cut from Seattle, and then there's kind of a flashback with Ellie where you fight a boar. Now, not everything is finished in here, so there's very little voice work. Some of the animations aren't finished, but it's a really cool insight to see why these things were cut, what they would have offered. I would have liked to have seen the Jackson party stay in the game in some capacity. Even probably the flashback scene I could seen working somewhere in the game, but I get why it was cut. I'm really glad they cut that sewer part, because if you've hung around the internet long enough, I'm sure you definitely get the idea of why everybody hates sewer levels and why. And then there's the big addition to this. It's like a game called No Return. It's basically like The Last of Us roguelike, and I notoriously hate this genre of gaming, but with The Last of Us combat engine, it's actually a lot of fun. Basically, you can play as different characters. You can play as Joel, Ellie, Dina, Manny. You can unlock all these different characters by completing challenges, and you can add different modifiers. That it might be survive for a certain amount of time, fight a boss. You might be fighting infected. You might be fighting seraphites. You might be fighting WLF soldiers. and you might go through different environments, and that all culminates in a boss fight. I am notoriously terrible at this, but it's still really fun. Again, I could see this being something that the community really kind of latches onto, because it's solo, and if you take the game as seriously as you do the main game, you're not going to run and gun through it, which is what I tend to do in games. But with The Last of Us, I'm forced to take combat a little bit differently, and I appreciate what this offers to the Last of Us 2 experience. And if you own this game, it's only a $10 upgrade, which is really, really worth it to get all this. Plus, you get some additional skins for your character, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't remember Ellie having a Mortal Kombat t-shirt or a Death Stranding t-shirt in the original. You get additional outfits for Abby, too. You get some skins for your gun. Certain skins can only be unlocked by doing the no return mode, which probably for me means they're going to be forever locked. But that's okay. I really enjoy what I've played here. If you like The Last of Us Part 2, this is an easy $10. Or if you want, or if this is your first time playing this, The Last of Us 1 Remastered we reviewed last year, I want to say, and we loved it. The Last of Us is one of my favorite franchises of all time. The Last of Us Part 2 continues that tradition. This is a beautiful game, and if I had to give you one piece of advice, if you're going to go into The Last of Us 2 completely not knowing anything about the story, take breaks. There are parts of this game that are going to get to you. It's going to be disturbing, but that doesn't mean it's any less of a beautiful and masterful experience. Seriously, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is absolutely worth it, whether you're getting it at full price or if you're paying for the upgrade path. This is most definitely a worthy addition to your PlayStation 5 library. Once again, a review copy was provided to us by Sony, and with all that, back to the show.
You can't stop this.
I want what you want, but not at any cost.
The Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
Gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky.
This Week in Geek
News.
Hey guys, welcome back to ThisWeekInGeek.net. I'm your host, Mike the Birdman. He's Alex the producer. And well, it is time to dive into the first news of 2024. And we're going to start things off on kind of a sad note for me, because I've been playing this franchise since its initial game. I want to say all the way back in 2008, I want to say. Rock Band 4 DLC is coming to an end after nearly 3,000 songs, to which I own easily over 1,000 something of these. So this article comes courtesy of comicbook.com, and they say it's been a long time coming, but weekly DLC for Rock Band 4 is officially coming to a close later this month, following its launch all the way back in 2015. But the original game, I think, came out back in 2008. Harmonix has never stopped supporting its latest Rock Band entry and has added new songs to the game each and every week, now having added almost 3,000 songs to the Rock Band 4. Harmonix is calling it quits and moving on to new ventures. Detailed on the Harmonix website today, the studio said that January 25th will mark the final DLC drop for Rock Band 4. Outside of ending DLC support for the game, other live services or other live features of Rock Band 4 will continue, which is great news for those who still plan to play for the long haul. As for what these final song additions for Rock Band 4 will be, Harmonix hasn't said just yet, but it teased that they'll be a bit more somber in nature. Quote, after 8 years of weekly Rock Band DLC releases, we're here to let you know that January 25th will be the last DLC release of the Rock Band 4 era, Harmonix said on its website today. All other live services will continue as normal, including rival seasons, online play, and everything else. We deliberated long and hard about how to frame the last blast of Rock Band DLC of this era. The last 2 weeks will feature some tearjerkers that sum up our feelings about this moment. We thank you for your commitment and passion to this wonderful game. While it's disappointing to see that the Rock Band 4's ongoing support is going to be wrapping up here, that doesn't mean that Harmonix is finished in the rhythm game space. In fact, Harmonix launched Fortnite Festival this past month as part of Fortnite, which is an experience similar to what was seen in Rock Band series. Moving forward, Rock Band instruments will soon become compatible with Fortnite Festival, which means there will be new ways to experience Rock Band style gameplay in the future. Looking back on Rock Band DLC for me is huge. I played this all throughout college. I used to have rock band nights with my roommates of Jordan, Pierce, and Dave, very valued members of the Twig crew once upon a time. Me and my best friend Ashley used to play all the time. AJ used to be on the show for a little bit way back when. And it was a fantastic time. That's where I really discovered my love of music. How I discovered that I actually can sing when I really want to. It led to many karaoke nights with my friend Brandon. We used to go out to the bars and places in St. Catharines and Welland and just belt out songs. I discovered so much new music when I was in college, discovering because I was in radio. I learned how the radio station industry actually paid attention to things like this, because you would hear so many songs you would hear in Rock Band and Guitar Hero would appear on rock stations playlists around that time. Like if you listen from about 2006 to about 2010, I'd say, I think you could make a pretty strong case for saying Rock Band influenced a lot of programming directors' decisions as to what was going to air at that time. And it was just a magical time that we had so many Guitar Hero games. We had Rock Band games. We had Lego Rock Band. We had Rock Band Green Day. We had Guitar Hero Aerosmith, Guitar Hero Metallica, which was the best way to hear the Death Magnetic album because they had the masters for it.
I remember that the biggest thing in piracy was people that bought the CDs and vinyl and everything going and then downloading what guys had gone in and isolated the individual surround tracks and everything from the rhythm game, because that was not mastered by the same people. It was they took the raw files and then mixed them themselves, and they didn't apply nearly as much like distortion to it.
Yeah, and I remember one of the things that really kind of came out of the rhythm game genre was mashups. Like I remember going to the launch parties for DJ Hero and DJ Hero 2. There was a guy who used to work at Activision, a guy named Jordan. When I met him for the first time in Toronto at a launch event, I remember giving him one of the biggest hugs. I'm like, dude, I've communicated with you for emails for years. I'm so glad to finally meet you. And it's kind of amazing how much that company led to certain things in my career. Actually, I probably told the story on Twig many, many years ago, but there was an opening at Harmonix back in 2009 when I was finishing college. I was going to apply to be the community manager for Rock Band in Los Angeles. And I would have moved to the States for that. But Blair convinced me. She said, I don't know with your health if we could afford the insurance, and, American healthcare being the dystopian hellscape that it is.
And it turns out you probably wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah. But that would have been such a cool first job. And because that would have been when Rock Band 3 was launching. I remember when the keyboard accessory was such a hot thing to get. In fact, I still don't know many people that have the keyboard. There were so many other peripheral people in that space making guitars, and I remember giving so many away, and I've looked some of them up on eBay. I'm surprised some of the prices were going with this. I remember like the Beatles Rock Band. If you can get that in the box, you would be surprised how much that's worth right now. I know the Paul McCartney's Les Paul guitar for that game is worth quite a bit. And if you have working Rock Band instruments, there is a complete underground marketplace for these things. And if you know how to fix them, you have a very in-demand skill. Like I've had to repair my Rock Band guitar once or twice when my strums started to not work. Thankfully, like I said, I can still sing, but I would be rather sad if I lost the ability to play some of these classic tracks. And when Rock Band 4 came out and the Proto Men Light Up the Night came to that game, that was a dream come true. When Stan Bush's The Touch was added into, I think, Rock Band, or maybe it was Guitar Hero. I know it's in both. That was a magical moment for me as well. Just seeing so many of these artists that I'd grown up loving, and I'm able to sing and play along with these tracks. It was just such a moment for me. So Harmonix will forever have my support. And I hope we do get a Rock Band 5 with new guitars, but now with things like Rocksmith, which actually teaches you to play the proper chords to play these games, I don't know if the rhythm genre will ever be the same now that you can actually learn to play it. Now, I don't have the fingers for that, so I'm never going to do it. But
and a lot of things pivoted to VR. Like Beat Saber is the only game that I even really play in VR. And you can't really do. I mean, you could do a guitar accessory for that, and then you wouldn't really see your hands playing it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be accurate because you need the tactile feedback of knowing you're hitting the right notes. I mean, I'm sure there is like a Guitar Hero.
Yeah, like Beat Saber is like it's a lot easier. I've seen where it's like air drumming. You can do air drumming, like you can do like a Drum Hero and do that in VR because they do the hand tracking of the controllers. So when you're beating the drums, you could be beating in a virtual space. And in fact, people have done that. But guitar in that, yeah, like Rocksmith is probably the only one out there that will have legs for, now into eternity because it's basically a guitar lesson.
Yeah, like I remember playing Rock Band with Pierce, my old best friend from college, who I haven't spoken to in like easily 10 or plus years now. But watching him play drums in real life to actual songs, and he would play on expert while the rest of us were playing on medium to hard sometimes, and he was really playing, and I was so impressed to see your skills are translating into a virtual space. It was just it blew my mind. And then seeing Dave Double D, not our new Double D, which is David Denoyer. Funny how he picked up two Daves on this show. But just seeing him play like all the Radiohead. Although I can tell you the amount of times at Rock Band night we would say, Dave, please don't play Radiohead, creep. Please just stop. But I remember that's where I rediscovered my love of Weezer. Like I love My Name is Jonas. What the hell? No, not My Name is Jonas. I'm trying to remember. It was in Rock Band 1. It's gonna bug me. What the hell? I can hear the song in my head. Whatever. But yeah, like there's just so many great memories associated with that game. So like I said, I hope the series comes back someday. I would love to see someone take DJ Hero and come back, but I know that's an Activision property. But still, I think the rhythm game genre is due for a comeback. Although when Guitar Hero tried it a couple of years ago, this ain't it, fam, and it was fucking bad. I don't know how you fuck up a simple guitar controller, but the fact that support for these peripherals is going to carry in the Fortnite, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like it's going to continue with like what was the one, Frets or whatever, Frets something or other, the one that was like Guitar Hero fan made game on like Steam.
Yeah, I know. Frets on Fire or something.
Yeah,
right?
So there's going to be stuff like that where you can use those controllers for a long time, and then of course all the VR beat games. But I think the eyes are going to be on Nintendo. What does their next system entail? If their next system, if they embrace something with more peripherals or something, like you'll see some company like this want to latch on to that, because I almost feel like current Xbox and PlayStation have no interest in third-party controllers.
No, you see remarkably few. I mean, the only third-party controller companies that I trust are Hori. I like Power A. Razer's usually pretty good.
Well, and
Scuff.
We do a lot of PDP stuff, and
and those guys are really good too. Those guys.
They like it used to be PDP and Power A were like similar. PDP is like taken off because they've joined with another company and they make like pro controllers now, and they make they make like $500 like arcade boards.
Yeah. So it's. Go ahead, Alex. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, peripheral wise, I feel like Nintendo's the only one really open to that.
Yeah, and I hope somebody, like I said, picks up this genre at some point, but we'll have to wait and see. So I can tell you the last song probably won't be Free Bird. It would be funny, but that was already previously released DLC. So it'll be nice to see them play the encore Into the Sunset.
What's the I don't even know what the title of the song is. You're a hockey fan, a sports fan. what's the song that na 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 na, hey hey hey,
That
goodbye.
would be kind of funny too. Yeah, if they did that or Sweet Caroline or something. I think that's in the game, but I'm not sure. I'm just gonna have to fire that up today.
And then if they come back with a new game, the first song should be Elton John's "Bitch Is Back."
Yeah, the Bitch Is Back, or Elton John's "I'm Still Standing," or something like that. That'd be kind of fun. All right, so moving on to our next story. This one comes courtesy of CNET.com. Alex was able to source this one for us. So we're going to talk about some of the weirdest products of CES 2024, which is the Consumer Electronics Show, which happens annually every year in Las Vegas. So the wildest and wacky tech things on the show floor at CES recently in Las Vegas. CES has been around for a long time. As the world's largest tech show, it has a notorious reputation for turning up gadgets that we don't really need. Self-adjusting belts, toilet robots, you name it. Someone paid to have it built. CES is over for another year, and there were some real doozies this time around. Pillows that move your head as you sleep, meat toasters, and well, there's one thing that really made me go, what the hell? And it is, everyone hold the inside-out phone. This product is the weirdest thing at CES 2024. Dancing plants, or rather quite jiggly ones. The Plant Pets is designed to turn your green thumb into Gizmo from Gremlins. They gurgle when they don't get water, and there's a capacitive sensor inside, meaning electricity, albeit mild, which makes it move when you touch it. I'm shaking my head at this thing, though my computer screen is in displays. I mean, it's fun, but so potentially torturous. Meanwhile, I've got some dry dirt clods on my windowsill that still could use some electrical jolts. Oh, my lovelies, it is time. Then there is an AI meat cooker, which is replacing a $50 pan. Darling, I'll have 2 pieces of meat toast, please. Just chuck in a couple of steaks in this freight elevator-like cage of the $3,500 AI-enhanced Perfecta grill. 2 minutes later, you'll have a perfectly cooked ribeye. This is taking brunch to a new level. Then there is this stalker robot that watches you sleep. In New York City, it said you're never more than 6 feet away from a rat, and at CES, you're never more than 6 feet away from a robot. Based on what we know about this one, what we want to stay as far away as we can, as Samsung's Bali won't like that. Of course, it will follow you. It watches you sleep. It has cameras. It can determine how often you're sitting to show you YouTube
Bali
clips.
knows. Bali watches.
Oh, this is gross. It has cameras. It can determine how you're sitting to show you YouTube clips with its built-in projector, even on the ceiling. On a side note, the AI robot bears a striking resemblance to the Among Us character, which is the weird little imposter guy. And then there's a computer you can put in your mouth. This is the OcuClean Ultra X. It's a smart toothbrush which has an interactive touchscreen and gives you AI voice tips via bone conduction. Why do they keep inventing computers you put in your mouth? Why, CES? Why? Call me old-fashioned, but I don't want a toothbrush using my skeleton to tell me how bad I am at brushing my teeth. Then there's the snore-reducing pillow. CES is really leaning into the future of assisted living. Here is a pillow that tolls your unconscious head around as it detects snoring movement. The Derushi Anti-Snore Smart Pillow claims to reduce snoring by 89%. But look at the super clunky control pad attachment. I'd rather snore, thanks. It looks like one of those memory foam pillows, very much like the Mike Lindell My Pillow with something attached to it. This is fucking stupid. This is interesting. This is the dead mouse alarm. So just as Bali sounds like the movie WALL-E, this gadget sounds a lot like the film Chappie. Unlike the sweet swag of the fictional robot Chappie, this gadget is not saving people of the near future South Africa. No, instead, Flappy keeps your house free of dead birds and mice through your cat flap. Surely this smart device should be able to detect something more useful than entering your house, like possums, raccoons, or interloper neighborhood cats intent on stealing your cat's food and spraying its territory. Better yet, circus performers moonlighting as international master thieves. Here's another thing. If Flappy won't let your cat inside, if it detects your feline friend dragging dead things around, it still leaves you with a dead thing in your garage or on your doorstep. And then this thing is dumb. This is an app-free personal assistant that isn't your phone. I've always been of the mindset that single-use devices are the best. A record player, a bicycle, for example, that don't need to do other things because they're good at what they do. Sometimes this can go too far, as with the Rabbit R1 machine. It strips out apps and is essentially a Star Trek communicator for talking to the computer or the AI assistant. Does it need a portend a post-app world? Are you really supposed to carry it around alongside your regular phone? Sure, our phones might be privacy nightmares, but the Rabbit still has a camera on it and it looks awkward as hell. This thing looks like a smart doorbell would be the best way to describe this thing. It looks dumb and I can't if this thing's not connected to the internet, if it can't download, maybe it can download new data, but how can this thing not be a privacy nightmare too? This is fucking stupid.
And all the fake AI stuff too.
Yeah, and like certainly AI and robots have been like the new hype in the last couple of years, and I don't know, some of this is just goofy as shit. And then this last one, it's so dumb, I don't even want to talk about it, but I'm gonna very, very briefly. Dumb orange juice, and I'm just gonna read it. CES is all about getting people's attention, and we're used to the toilet paper robots and the vacuum shoes, but one of the silliest announcements this year is the conference is AI-free orange juice. Yes, Tropicana is making a special edition of its OJ called Trope CN because it doesn't have computers in it or something. No A's or I's in there, that's for certain. If you spell out the missing letters in order, IAA is a plant hormone, so maybe this is an inside joke for horticulturalists. That's the surgeon. Our sides are split. This is fucking so dumb. I want to use a slur. Just how stupid this is. Like, holy shit. I mean, and okay, no, it is not dumb orange juice. So unless you're out in the middle of the fucking fields with a juicer making them, an AI has determined how to plant these crops, and AI has determined how to, get them to the fucking warehouse. Fuck off. This is so dumb, it hurts my head. The only cool thing here, maybe the smart toothbrush, maybe. The sleeper robot's fucking creepy, because that's going to end up on fucking Pornhub.
Yeah.
The meat toaster, I could see that, maybe, but $3,500 to put a piece of steak. Fuck you. Take the 5 minutes, go learn something from Masterclass or something, or Skillshare, which I found out I've been paying for a membership for 2 years and I've never used it. So maybe I should get around to that. Shut up. But yeah, like $3,500 for a meat cooker. Asshole, get a $150 meat thermometer or learn how to use the thumb technique.
But I need tech.
No, you don't. You need tech like you need a hole in the fucking head.
I already.
Oh shit! I can't say that.
You can say whatever you want in a fit of anger, not meant towards any particular group, except for stupid people, is what you're calling it.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit that out, but that is funny. Just this is so dumb. It caused me to say something not PC. That's all I'll say. That, oh my god, that is so dumb.
It hurt your
How
brain
does this
so much.
It did. It really offended me on a whole new friggin' level. I'll figure this out. All right, so our last story this week that I promise you will not be as stupid as what I just read to you. This one comes courtesy of news from Xbox. The Xbox Developer Direct, all the news and announcements. And
we don't need to read everything, just we'll say what was announced, basically.
Yeah, basically, they're talking about Avowed, which is the, let's see what company. This is coming from Obsidian.
Yeah, so the people that made, well, back in the day when they were Black Isle, they made the, what's it called? The...
Morrowind or whatever?
No, that was Bethesda. These are the guys that made Icewind Dale.
Oh, okay.
And then they ended up making Neverwinter Nights 2. Was it Neverwinter Nights 2? Yeah, Neverwinter Nights 2.
Fallout New Vegas?
Fallout New Vegas.
That's what I'm thinking.
They also made KOTOR 2. Like, they were... And I think they made an expansion for Baldur's Gate 2? Maybe not. They used to make all the stuff, like, they were hand in hand with BioWare back in the day, and then they were always sort of seen as second class. But then they made... South Park Stick of Truth. They made their franchise on their own through Kickstarter, one of the most successful Kickstarters ever, with Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, and then were bought by Microsoft. And Avowed is the first-person RPG in the same universe as those two games, so I'll have to go play them at some point. Big deal for me here, other than some combat looking a little wonky, that they might need to increase some of the weightiness of some of the moves. This looks to be doing for the first-person genre what they did with The Outer Worlds, in that it's a better Bethesda game. Because everybody talks about how New Vegas was like the best out of all the Bethesda RPGs, even though it was on such a tight budget and they had, production issues. And then, we've seen what Fallout's been like the last couple times, and what Bethesda RPGs have been like recently, where they're kind of stale and stuck like 15 years ago. And then The Outer Worlds came out and completely threw that on its head. And this looks to be doing the same. This is basically Skyrim, but if done with modern tech.
I'm interested. I mean, it's going to take a lot for me to really say, wow, this is my new Skyrim, because currently that's Baldur's Gate.
Well, the writing is so much better with Obsidian than like anything that Bethesda's ever done.
Yeah, I think for me, it wasn't the Skyrim story that really drew me in. It was the side quests, and it was a lot of the things that you could do. Combat in that game was fun, and exploration was fun. The storyline was kind of okay. Yeah, there was some interesting stuff with the Dragonborn and the DLC for it when you found the first Dragonborn and all that shit, and even returning to Morrowind. That was interesting, but it wasn't exactly groundbreaking. You're not going to win any like Saturn awards for how good the writing was. So yeah, I mean, I'll give it a try. I mean, day one Game Pass, why not? Yeah. Right? If I got nothing else going on,
they don't have a date. It might get pushed to next year, but I'm thinking it's going to hit like October, November.
I'm going to say this will be their holiday game, which means either September or November.
Yeah, for Microsoft, it's going to be this and Call of Duty.
Yeah. Brief side note to all of this. 343 has announced they're going to be stopping seasonal content for Halo Infinite. They're going to be doing operations, quote unquote, that happen every 4 to 6 weeks. So yay, you can still get more cosmetics and themed events, but it's nothing not as cool as it should have been.
They're already pivoting to a new single player game.
Yeah, so
because the 10-year plan isn't going to work if nobody's playing.
Yeah, and as much as I love Halo Infinite, I love the gameplay loop in that game. The problem is too little, too late.
So single player was quite good. Everything else was crap.
Well, the multiplayer was fun. There just wasn't enough to do at launch, and even for the first season, it was kind of rough. And I played that fucking religiously.
And you remember how much problems there was with connectivity. It's like, there shouldn't have been issues at launch when this is the biggest game you've ever done with the biggest budget and the biggest back end, and then people were having issues connecting.
Yeah, like I had trouble getting into certain game types and stuff like that, which, yes, it did get smoothed out halfway through season 1, but
by then nobody cared.
Yeah, exactly. By that time, once the competitive scene leaves you and once the first MLG season or 2 is done, you're done. And I think do not quote me on this, but I think I remember the major teams have already disbanded their Halo competitive teams, because I used to watch Cloud9, I used to watch Optic. I don't even think they have competitive teams anymore. Again, not 100% sure, but I haven't seen a Twitch drop in forever, so who knows? Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Either way, pour one out for Halo. So next game that they talked about was Sasuna's Saga Hellblade 2. That's launching Senua's Saga. That's going to be launching on May 21st. That's going to be on Game Pass day 1. This is that weird game where they don't show a lot of gameplay, but you always see these really amazing cinematics, which is all right, cool, but it's not gameplay.
First game was overhyped to me. There's some interesting aspects in that they do a lot with psychology and trauma, but this feels like a tech demo, and both their games have. The big controversy with this right now is they've announced the game is about the same length as the first game, so about 6 to 7 hours, maybe, if that.
It's kind of not.
It's been in development for 7 or 8 years, so
cool. But
with 5 times the budget that they had when they were an independent studio, and I keep asking, where's the game?
Yeah,
But
like
they're
it
still
looks
not-
cool, but that's about it.
They're still not showing gameplay. Everything they've shown has been Senua walking along Iceland.
Or here's a cave and here's a cool monster and here's some music and here's some cool lighting from a fire. Like
that was
all
3
right,
years ago.
Yeah, I mean that's a scary looking monster, but I've seen scarier looking shit in, any other fantasy game.
I get a feeling this is going to have frame rate problems real bad because they're focusing so much on the visuals and not actually realizing that people have to play the game. So we'll see what happens. But to me, it's announced at $50. I think either 50 US or 50 Canadian. I can't remember which one. But it's not getting a physical release, digital only, and Game Pass.
What?
Yeah.
Get bent.
So this is a try it for a day and then go, well, that was worth 7 years of wait.
Yeah. Now, these next 2 games, I have no opinion on. So, fill me in.
Okay, well, Senua is also, by the way, coming out May 21st.
Yeah.
Visions of Mana was dropped in. It's not going to Game Pass or anything, but the big deal here is it's the first time that the Mana series has been available on Xbox.
Okay, cool.
I think it's the 5th mainline entry. I never played the 4th one. 3rd one, I played the remake on the PS4, Trials of Mana. That was actually super fun. Secret of Mana, I've only ever gotten about halfway through on the Super Nintendo. And the original Mana game, which is Final Fantasy Adventure in North America, I played probably 2 or 3 times as a kid.
I got the one for the Switch, but I haven't played it yet.
Oh, the collection?
Yeah, I bought it because it was like $20, and I'm like, you know what? Why not? And if I get stuck, I'll just call you and ask for help.
That has the Game Boy one. It has the Super Nintendo one, and I believe it has the Super Nintendo version of Trials, which is the 3rd game, which we never got in English.
Okay,
but
cool.
So that'll be worth it. The big deal is they brought back the original artist to work with the new team. It looks to be using the Dragon Quest XI engine, but with the action part a little bit more like Star Ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Looks pretty fun. The big thing everybody's talking about out of here, other than this is nice and big and colorful and has a good budget, is they've recorded 100 different songs for the soundtrack.
Ooh, that's cool.
They have a dynamic soundtrack system where music will play, and then as soon as you enter battle, it seamlessly transitions into battle music without it being abrupt. They also are showing off, I think it's called a Pikul, Pikul. That is your mount you can ride around on, and it's a cross between a Yorkshire Terrier dog and a pangolin, like an armadillo-looking thing. And it looks super cute. There's going to be a bazillion pieces of art online about it, and probably plushes and everything. If you haven't seen it, I'll send you a picture, Michael. It's basically a black puppy dog that you ride around on.
Okay, weird, but sure.
And then that it's coming out in the summertime. They announced that. They haven't said exactly when, but I'm guessing it's probably a June release.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing too.
And then I'll be honest, sorry for any of our strategy/Civ players listeners. Ara History Untold is coming out in the fall, and it's going to be on Game Pass on day 1. We don't care about these kinds of games.
Yeah, I'm not good at them. I've tried. Like I sometimes I think it's Firaxis will send me the Civilization games for consideration for holiday gift guide. And every time I'm like, wow, I suck at this. This isn't StarCraft. I'm terrible at this.
The way I say it, not that we don't care. It's that we're not. If you're into these games, you are super into these games.
Oh, yeah.
There is no such thing as a casual Civilization style fan.
Let me tell you, Alex. So I used to work at a game center once upon a time called Pones in Hamilton. And they used to have these things called lock-ins where you would come in on a Friday night at midnight. You wouldn't leave until Sunday morning. So imagine the smell. But there would be a back room where there would be 6 consoles or computers or whatever set up, right? And they'd be in different rooms. You'd have gaming setups. You'd have like a monitor. You'd have all this cool shit. Cool, right? They would have Civilization games that would last from midnight on Friday until fucking Sunday. Those people are insane. And I don't wish to associate with them. But it was just like, I can't believe how hardcore some of those Strat players go. And it's so not me. So not me.
Well, it looks good. And and you can check it out on PC Game Pass if you don't want to spend money, up front and try it out. It looks like it'd be worth trying. I can't lose myself in it. I have reviewed obviously other RTS games on the show for different things, and those I can get into. I can play drop in 8 hours at a time. That's fine. The difference is, what do they call these? Is it 4A or 5A, whatever they call it? Is that what the franchise or the type of game it is, where it's like all the different types of, it's not just strategy, it's like whole world simulations. You have to be a certain type of person to get super into that. Even if they offer this for a review, I don't know if we could do it justice, because we wouldn't actually understand how to do it.
Yeah, but if you want to send a developer up to hang out for a weekend, yeah, sure.
I'll say it looks good though. It looks like, and my brother is into these games, and he watched it with me. Like he plays a ton of Civ, right? And you have to have a really good computer and everything. And he turns to me and he just says this, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of a death knell for them, other than the fact that it's on Game Pass. He says that'll do till Civ.
Yeah,
Civ
basically. This is the holdover.
Yeah, their entire chance at surviving depends on when Civ gets announced. If Civ comes out within 6 months of this coming out, this game's dead.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So it sucks, but it's literally there is one game. There's some games that in Europe are popular, and then Sega's had a few games like that come out. But let's be honest, there is one game that rules that entire genre, and if it comes out within 6 months before or after your game is launching, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. So the last game that was shown with gameplay and there was a trailer is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I hate the name. It sounds like a fucking first-year children's book. But this comes out in 2024. It'll be day one on Game Pass. That's fucking great. It's done by the same guys who did Wolfenstein The New Order and Wolfenstein The New Colossus. That's Machine Games. It looks fine. I mean, it's got Harrison Ford's likeness, but not his voice. I know I saw who's doing the voice.
It's Troy Baker.
Yeah, I figured it was Troy Baker or Nolan North. It was one of those guys. So Joel from The Last of Us will be guiding you fighting Nazis. Sure, why not? I mean, the graphics look fine.
I don't know why some people were praising it. The graphics look bad.
Okay, I'll say the environments look great, but the faces looked weird.
Faces look weird. The character models and physical movements look stiff, and they look like they're from the late era PS3.
I wouldn't go that far. I would say this looks about as good as Wolfenstein,
this looks as good as The Last of Us on PS3, as in the best that generation could do.
For me, when I saw I guess he's a Nazi, the scientist who's yelling at Indy when he's in the sand or whatever, that was just awkward. And it's one specific frame that really got my attention. It's the way he's positioning himself on the ground, talking to him. It looks weird. I don't know how else to describe it.
I know they did a lot of mocap, but it doesn't look right. It
looks weird.
And also, whipping something in first person, and things don't look like you're interacting the way that they should.
Yeah, I have never seen a good whip in a game that wasn't like Soul Calibur or something like that.
Yeah, or 2D like Castlevania.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't work. Now, there have been good Indiana Jones games in the past, but
I think first person was a big mistake.
Yeah, this should have been Uncharted. Why is this first person? Honestly, yeah, if you're going to do Indiana Jones, you do it like Uncharted. Hell, you could just reskin an Uncharted game, put more production budget into it, hire, I don't know, whoever you got to hire. That's what I would have done. First person, no, this is dumb.
I think there's a couple factors with this. One, I think that they know they can't do it as good as Uncharted.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
There's people are talented. Not saying they're not talented. They're talented at different things. I don't think this studio can do a third-person action game. That's why I was interested to see, because the rumors were that it was.
See, and you could have handed this off to the guys who do the Tomb Raider games, IDOS, right?
No, they couldn't.
I don't know. The Tomb Raider reboots were really good.
This is a Bethesda licensed property.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, it just sucks.
I remember Eidos wasn't them.
That's right. Yeah,
that was Square Enix, and now it's the European
Embracer Group. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
So they couldn't have done it. Think of the studios that Bethesda owns. None of them could have done this.
Yeah, this is I mean, if you wanted to do Indiana Jones fighting Nazis as a first-person shooter,
no,
it's good. It's going to be boring.
Well, here's my question: why have it as a first-person game if it's Indiana Jones licensed likeness?
Yeah, I mean, you're basically paying for cutscenes. I mean, if you want to experience the game, watch a Let's Play on fucking YouTube.
And you know what looks nauseating?
What?
When you go from first person to like jump and swing on things and do action scenes, it switches to third person for those scenes only. And then as soon as you land your feet on the ground, you're first person. That looks nauseating.
Yeah,
it's going to be bad. And there's going to be people that praise it like crazy because people are crazy fanboys. But like the Wolfenstein games are fun games.
Because they're shooters.
But what's weird is that the Wolfenstein 2 was it not the New Order, whatever, Colossus, whatever it was.
I think yeah.
Why does that game, which is like 7 or 8 years old, look better than this graphic wise?
Yeah, I mean this. I guess they just wanted to use the IP. Cool, I guess.
So this, I think, is going to be their Christmas game.
I mean, maybe I'll be surprised. I'm not being overwhelmingly hyped for this.
It looks like an alpha. Like it doesn't look smooth enough.
Yeah. And then finally, there was a little bit of news announced for Diablo 4, which admittedly I haven't played since my review period. And I liked my time with Diablo 4, but I've been spoiled now by Baldur's Gate, and I don't know if I can go back to that style. And I know Diablo is like a dungeon crawl. It's meant to be taken like that. But I don't know. And I want to play with our friend Justin, who is the Terrible Warriors guy. And he's been wanting to play Diablo with me because I've got a really cool barbarian on my one account. But now we're into season whatever. I'd have to restart really. And just because I'm so not in the end game with all the items and shit. Like I would be so underpowered as to why are you bothering? And I don't know. I mean, I like these little directs when they offer us something substantial. I'd say the best thing that come out of this thing is Avowed. The Mana stuff is interesting. Indiana Jones, I am not excited for, but I want it to succeed.
Well, see, this is where I start to question. I'm okay with it a little more because it's going to be on Game Pass. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, is that a crutch? Your game is okay enough for Game Pass, but not good enough to purchase?
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get with like certain things. Like awesome, like day one Game Pass. All right, that's cool and all, but
has Microsoft put out any game this entire generation that was worth buying without Game Pass?
The only one I would have purchased if it had a really cool special edition
was Halo.
Would have been Halo. Yeah, that's it.
I
mean, Gears 5 was last generation, wasn't it?
Yes. So in over 4 years, they haven't had a single game that was worth full price at launch. Because let's be real, Starfield was not worth it. Not for that price.
Yeah. Starfield was a game if it was...
It's a $30 game.
I wouldn't go that far.
I
wouldn't go...
The game's dead.
I would say this. If the game had mods within 3 months, officially licensed mods, or the ability to create like they did with Fallout 4, it should have launched with it.
It shouldn't have to have people that are fans fix the game to make it worth playing.
I like to have, like, for example, because you aren't in the Fallout community when it comes to mods, I am kind of in it. And I like what it can do when you can add your own like radio stations, you can add different items and stuff like stuff that makes the game different but fun, right? With Starfield, I liked my time with it. Would I've purchased it at regular $60? Sure. But that comes with a huge caveat.
It's $90.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like if this was a regular Xbox 360 or Xbox One game, yeah, sure, why not? but it was not the expansive game I was promised. And what I mean by that is it wasn't the thing that made me fall in love with space travel, where I wanted to land on every planet. Now, I will admit, designing my ship, the Fubar, on console was remarkably annoying, but it's fucking awesome, and I love my ship. I love my crew. But the storyline was very, okay, that's it? Cool.
There's no aliens. There's nothing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's basically like discount Firefly with some weird sci-fi shit thrown in.
The game was more boring than Death Stranding, which was a parcel delivery walking simulator.
I will say this though. I mean, it's the perfect game for Game Pass. Like, go in there, play your 40 hour playthrough and call it a day.
And that's my point is, could Microsoft get away with what they've been putting out if they didn't have Game Pass?
I don't know. And when they offered the special edition of Starfield with the Constellation edition that had the smartwatch, I've heard it's not uncommon to hear problems with the Constellation watch. I've seen people post about it on Twitter. I think I've read a few things on Reddit. I know I hear things from you because you're more into that internet community than me.
Quality control is the biggest problem Microsoft is having, both in software and hardware, with their physical releases.
I mean, I'm lucky that our Xbox Series X, our launch edition, still work great, knock on wood, and our controllers, knock on wood, still work great.
Pretty easy when I barely use it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the only game I play on my Xbox is COD, and I haven't played COD in over a month just because I did my Season 1 Battle Pass. I've maxed out every single gun that I can. Actually, maybe I'm missing like 3 guns that are like the sniper rifles. I'm just not done them. But everything else is maxed out. I play with my friend Jordan, and that's it. I haven't played any first-party title in so long. Now, if you told me Microsoft was going to offer Killer Instinct tomorrow, yeah, sure. Then I would play all friggin' day. If they told me Halo is going to get a new person developing DLC, I know Firefights coming to it. Okay, that's cool. Where was this a year ago? Well, I don't care.
I turned my Xbox on for basically 3 things: play a review copy, play the occasional indie game on Game Pass that I want to try out that I didn't get for review, and then I watch my Blu-rays on it and my 4K.
The last game I played that wasn't COD was RoboCop, which was awesome, by the way. Other than that, I think that's all I got. Was like, I played RoboCop, COD, and I think I installed something we got for review, but we just got busy. Like, it's not, and you remember, Alex, you've been with this show for like 7 years now. You remember when I was an Xbox fanboy.
All you did for the first 3 years that we were recording together, you almost never turned your PlayStation on.
Yeah, it was like I might play The Last of Us and Dragon Ball or something.
You played first party titles, and that was it. Everything else, and if we got review codes for things and you were given the option to pick a console, you picked Xbox.
Every single time. Yeah, now it's like my PlayStation is on all the time. Like, I have a wired Pro controller that runs to my bed because that's where I hang out, right?
Part of that is performance. This generation, everything seems to play slightly smoother on PlayStation for the most part.
100%.
But the other factors have been the interface on the Xbox. Like, the whole operating system looks bloated.
It's slow.
And it's slow to load things up. Like, it's just not an overall great experience. The other factor is, we don't even realize it at first, is how much better and revolutionary that DualSense controller's been.
Yeah, honestly,
with the force feedback and all that fun stuff added, like it's great there. And it's funny, you don't even have the disc-based PS5, so you can't even play like physical games or 4K on there. And yet you still, for the most part, unless you're watching a movie, have the PlayStation on. And then of course the Switch is the Switch. Like PlayStation this generation specifically, I have done probably 90% of my gaming on it. And if given the option for review codes, I always pick the PlayStation for one simple reason. I don't care. I'm platform agnostic that way. I pick the PlayStation because almost every single game has something unique to do with that controller.
One of the reasons, and then we should probably end this segment, why I like PlayStation over Xbox in this generation, I can find my back catalog games in a tab. If there's something I want to download, it's just there. I just have to go, boop, done. I don't have to go hunting through 2 or 3 menus deep in the Xbox.
And one final thing for me, I can't believe that Microsoft Store is so hard to navigate.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
You cannot search by discounts or by like genre. Like you only get to see like the top 10. Like, there's no such thing as searching the whole store.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much, end of rant on that. Like, I'm not being a fanboy for either. It's just I'm a fanboy for whatever is the easiest and most convenient and most robust to use.
Yeah, like I need something that works fun. I mean, my last kind of thought is if I want to play a really good experience, I go to PlayStation. If I want to play a shooter, only reason I'm playing on Xbox is the Pro controller that I use. I like to play my COD on Xbox because that is where I know. Now, if I could put my Xbox controller exactly as it is to PlayStation from Xbox, my Xbox would seriously just be used for my 4K Ultra HD stuff, and that's it. And that's where I'm at. So anyway, We're going to take another break here on the show. We're going to take a listen to Alex's review that we got from our friends over at Nintendo. This is Mario Wonder. We'll be back right after this, right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Alex here with just a quick review. Our friends at Nintendo sent a review copy of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Now, this game obviously came out last year during the big holiday push where a lot of games were coming out. We didn't get a chance to review it or play it at that time as we had so much going on. And as we started out the new year, Nintendo contacted us and said, hey, would you like to review a copy of Mario Wonder? It's still sort of our big game right now. We're going into 2024. Would you guys like to review it? And I said, yes, absolutely. It's one that we've, was on our radar. Eventually, we might have got around to it in the spring or summertime on our own. But we went, yeah, sure, why not? So I spent, a few days playing it pretty much religiously, going through. I was able to do a complete playthrough, just some background on it, of the main game. I wasn't able to complete the special world because without spoiling anything, there's always a special world with some of the more difficult much more extremely difficult levels in it, and I was able to do 2 out of those. I wasn't able to do the rest before this recording. I will slowly maybe be able to do that later on, but as for the main game, I was able to complete the main game, got every single secret, multiple secret exits for levels, as well as collecting all not every single collectible in it, but most levels were complete. But I got the Wonder Seeds for every single, as far as I know, every single Wonder Seed in the world, because as you complete each world, it'll give you a little notification at the end that you've collected everything in that world. Anyway, without going into too much, because the game has already been out, the basic story is you've now got to save a completely new kingdom. You are going around, and if you collect these Wonder Seeds and Wonder Flowers and powers and so on, it changes how everything in the level looks and feels and mechanics, and even the point of like changing gameplay styles. You have obviously the new elephant powers, yada yada yada. You've seen a lot of the trailers, you've seen people talk about it. I want to talk briefly about how it feels to play. The game itself feels like a mixture of Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo and the new Super Mario Bros. Games that have been out on the DS, pretty much since the DS onward as the 2D Mario games, but then blends in a little bit more of the visual flair of like the 3D Mario games, but in that 2.5D perspective look. So maybe it's kind of a blend of everything that's made Mario good, and then adds a whole lot more. You can turn on or off the voices from the flowers talking. I left them on because I found them charming. I never thought that they got annoying or anything. Everything feels pretty intuitive when it comes to finding where the secrets are. There's a couple areas where I had to experiment a little more. where like falling down a pit may or may not kill you, may find a secret area, or having to replay levels to get into the secrets or find secret exits, similar to how you did it in like Super Mario World onward, where there might be one exit leads to one path, a second exit changes the path and opens up a new area. You can purchase different items from and different like stamps, the stickers, and little collectible type things that you can use from different stores within each world. And for the most part, I only ended up purchasing things like extra seeds that I could use to, fill my collection up. I never felt like I was in an area that was too difficult. If you ever find yourself in a spot where you're having trouble just completing a level just to move forward, maybe not collecting everything, but just to move forward, you can always select either a Yoshi character or Nabbit, and those characters have a few bonuses. One, you can't be hurt by regular enemies. You just sort of move on. You won't die from being hit. You'll die if you fall down a pit, but if you're playing as Yoshi, you get sort of like the Yoshi kicking bicycle jump thing where you can jump almost twice the distance, or at least raise yourself out of a pit before you get hurt. You can change your powers that you can get from different stamps that will give you additional bonus moves like a grappling hook, or what is essentially a grappling hook. The methods to run faster, to swim faster, to do wall jumps better, to do standing jumps better, to do crouching jumps better. You can only equip one at a time, so you sometimes have to switch which powers that you're going to use depending on the level or whatever you're having trouble with. So there's a lot of fun there. Good variety in the world design. There's reasons sometimes to go back to a previous world to find a secret, or to just replay a level that you like, or to go in sometimes and get a power-up that you can use in the next level because you might need a specific power-up to find a secret. It's all balanced very well difficulty-wise. I never felt anything was too extreme. There isn't a safe mode in this game like previous Mario's, or like an easy mode. It's more like it depends on the characters you select. I didn't play really anything online, but there is a robust online feature when it comes to seeing sort of where other people are, as well as people can leave notes or help each other out if you get stuck. A lot of cool social aspects to this that are a bit of an experiment here. Very well put together. Obviously, the music is great. It is a little weird getting used to the new Mario voice because we're so used to it for the last 30 years. But I think it'll grow on me. It didn't really distract me except for the little bit at the beginning. Overall, I think it's a very well put together game. It's one of the best platformers and family games of the last several years. It's sort of what you expect Nintendo to be like. But I just, was actually quite impressed with just how well everything runs. Buttery smooth on the Switch. I know that there's rumors of new consoles and stuff coming out in the future. This is going to be one of those games where you can pick it up now and it's going to be like evergreen. It is good to the point where you can play it whenever you want. You don't have to feel like you've been left out by not buying it right away. If you didn't get a chance to play it before Christmas and you want to play it this year, you can pick it up now, either physically or digitally. You can pick it up in the springtime or summertime. I feel like this is going to be a big seller for Nintendo for quite some time. And it's one of the great multiplayer couch co-op games. And we know we need a lot more of those in today's day and age. So I'm very happy to say that Mario Wonder is one of the best platformer games I've played in several years, and 100% obviously recommend for anybody to try.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
Hey guys, welcome back to ThisWeekInGeek.net. It is time for the first weird news of 2024. I'm excited, you're excited, he's excited. The guy who's hiding behind your couch, he's probably excited too. All right, so we're going to start things off with the first story I got from 97x.com. And, well, Google is having some trouble. And what do I mean by that? Well, a Edinburgh delivery truck driver drove down city stairs after Google directions error. A delivery truck driver got his vehicle stuck when he followed Google directions that took him down a flight of stairs. A delivery truck in Edinburgh crashed down a city stairwell following a false routing recommendation caused by an error on Google Maps. This marked the third accident of its kind within a few weeks. The mishap occurred around 11:30 a.m. on January 18th on Left Street, the vehicle becoming the third victim of the seemingly errant navigation instructions. According to reports, an error on Google Maps caused an unsuspecting drivers to be guided across the cycle lane onto the green lane pavement and subsequently down the stairs. This inaccurate route resulted in vehicles being marooned helplessly. What did Google say about this? Addressing the situation, a Google spokesperson assured Edinburgh Live that the glitch was under examination and was declared fixed. Despite this, some motorists continue to encounter difficulties stemming from the muddled navigation instructions. A photograph taken by a pedestrian around noon revealed that the delivery truck had not yet been moved. Subsequent pictures illustrated the confusion of locals who found the lorry with its two front wheels overhanging the stairs. And this wasn't the first time that this has happened. This comes after the first accident occurred on December 19, 2023, when a white SUV found itself in a similar predicament, having mounted the steps to the surprise of onlookers. Witnessing the scene, local residents Gordon shared on social media platform X, formerly Twitter, quote, "It happened last night around 8:24 p.m. I thought he was just mounting the pavement until I heard the huge crunch when I was crossing London Road. This misadventure was short-lived, followed by a second incident when a private hire vehicle was immobilized in the same spot. The car managed to navigate a few steps before halting, subsequently awaiting a recovery vehicle for extraction. Further reports will follow as Google continues to work towards permanently rectifying the technical glitch to prevent similar incidents in the future." Now, it's kind of funny that this story comes up talking about Google navigation. So I like to buy things off Facebook Marketplace, as you know, one does who has a problem. And I was trying to buy a transformer, and I was going into Kitchener and Waterloo, which is a city very close to us and not too far from you. That's where you live. So the place I was going to was a place on King Street, and my Google navigation kept freaking out. It was like, turn left, turn right, make a U-turn.
You made a mistake. It's because King Street goes north, south, east, and west on the same road.
Yeah, and that's what confused it, because the place I was going to, it's like, go here and do a U-turn. Okay, so we did legally.
King Street at one point turns around in on itself on the same road.
Yes, that's what happened, because the place we had to go was right at that intersection, because there's this apartment that was there, and the Google kept freaking out, telling us to keep pulling U-turns. And eventually I'm like, all right, you daffy machine, where the hell are we going?
It's because we're not on the standard European grid system. It was designed like the Mennonites did. It was like not even like
spoke, right?
Well, no, the spoke is like the Roman Italian, and then you got the grid system. We are a hodgepodge of random lines. Our streets don't make any sense.
It was so weird. So eventually I had to contact the person on Facebook. I was like, dude, where the hell are you? He's like, I'm by this like store. I'm thinking, oh, you mean the place I was at 10 minutes ago? Because my Google directions said I wasn't there, yet I was. He's like, yeah, that's the place. I'm like, all right, cool. So eventually got there, got my stuff, got some cool Transformers, and I was on my merry freaking way.
I would have been like, are you on King Street?
Yeah. And I have heard similar Google incidents where it's directed people to drive into bodies of water.
Yes.
It's like, it's so dumb.
The quickest route is over the bridge. What bridge? And you're already in the water.
Yeah. I have seen personally people almost drive off of those ramps where you do boats and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen people like, oh, this is the quickest route, and they're not looking; they're just listening to the Google directions. I'm like, oh my god, please stop. One of the local transit systems, I'm not going to say which city, I ride their bus system, and one of their drivers is so terrible at following directions because he doesn't know the city. And he'll follow the Google directions. And I talk with other drivers and they're like, yeah, this is not great. Like, why would you listen to the Google when it's clearly you go this way? And this person has been in the city for about 6 months to a year now. They should know where to go. So when I travel to this other city and I use this other transit system, it's like, guy, look, man, I want to love you. I want to support you. but could you just maybe come to the city on your day off, learn your route just a little bit better? Just help me help you. And it is unbelievably frustrating. So Google, you make wonderful products when they work. And I'm waiting for my stupid home to go off right now because I've said the G word so many times. So
Godzilla?
Moving on. Yeah. Godzilla -1, which I still have to see. All right. So our next article comes from futurism.com. After classified briefing, Congressman says UFOs may be, quote, extra-dimensional angels. Quote, whenever I use the term angels, to me, it's synonymous with an extra-dimensional being. Congressman Eric Burleson, he's a Republican from Missouri, I want to say, has waded into the discourse about UFOs in an outburst that probably says more about the state of U.S. politics than unidentified objects in the sky. Speculated might say they might be angels sent by God himself. Yes, you've read that right. During a recent episode of That UFO podcast this week, Burleson took to the UFO conversation in a wild new direction. Quote, they may not fit with the biblical narrative, but whenever I use the term angels, he said, to me, it's synonymous with an extra-dimensional being. Quote, I think it's more likely that it would be something extra-dimensional that would be within this dimension, Burleson argued. And then, so what I'll say is that when you start talking about things in that nature, that they're extra-dimensional, well, in a lot of different scriptures, including the Bible and others, there's really the way you describe messengers of God or angels. Strikingly, Burleson's musings come after he attended a classified briefing about UFOs this month that he said was nothing he'd learned that was fundamentally shifted his worldview. Quote, there's nothing that's been... Just got to find it. It shifted me. There we go. I think it's more likely that... Oh, wait, there we go. Okay. There's nothing that's been said that's changed my worldview, he told the Kansas City Star. I, quote, believe the veracity of the claims of the people who testified in the public hearing. Now, that being said, I believe what they said is true. Burleson isn't alone in the musing about a connection between UFOs and religious texts. Quote, UFOs were in the Bible. Representative Tim Burchett, a Republican from Tennessee, claimed in 2021. Read Ezekiel. It talks about the flying wheel around. So, I mean, they've been around since we've been around, and somebody needs to come up with some answers. Burleson called for the oversight over reports alleging the U.S. government has conspired to keep spicy UFO findings from leaking to the public. The subject has been fraught with drama. Last summer, Air Force veteran and former National Geospatial Intelligence Agency named David Grouch came forward to allege the government had secretly recovered alien spacecraft and even, quote, dead pilots inside of them for decades as part of a secret top secret UFO retrieval program. Needless to say, his allegations sound incredibly far-fetched. Why would aliens fly these incredibly advanced vessels to Earth only to crash them? And why would they pack themselves into the vessels in the first place, considering they presumably have advanced enough technologies to pilot the ships autonomously like NASA with a Mars rover? Despite these glaring questions, Grouch's testimony clearly rattled Burleson and his fellow members of a House Oversight Subcommittee created to investigate matters related to reports of what the government now calls, quote, unidentified aerial phenomenon. In November, Burleson advocated to, quote, renew security clearance of Grouch in an apparent effort to get behind this alleged cover-up. Apart from invoking the Bible, Burleson has also previously voiced skepticism over claims that UFO sightings amounted to proof that we were visited by extraterrestrial beings. Quote, what they observed is what they observed in the film. The footage they have is what it is, he told lawmakers during an August congressional hearing following several briefings of retired military members, including Grouch, giving testimony. Quote, I just don't jump to the same conclusions like they do, which is that these things we're seeing in the sky are from little green men, light years and light years away. His latest explanation, however, is somewhat more eyebrow-raising, though he left room for a more pedestrian reality as well. Quote, in my opinion, I think it's either angels or it's man-made, he added. I think the more likely explanation is that it's man-made. Even among UFO truther circles, his comments are met with ridicule. Fucking Dark Ages medieval shit unbelievable, wrote one disgruntled guy on Reddit. Apart from speculating about biblical and multidimensional beings, Burleson reiterated during his most recent podcast appearance that Grouch's testimony suggests the government is withholding information about UFOs. Quote, I think it's proven prima facie, I don't know what that word means, that the fact we are having a difficult time getting this information and we're seeing it proves the claim, he told the UFO podcast, adding that there's a culture of fear and intimidation around this. While he may have a point about the persistent taboo around the topic, the rest sounds pretty far-fetched. Perhaps it's the Republican lawmakers' relationship with the government itself that could explain his unusual stance. Quote, I would say that I've always been fascinated by the topic of UAPs, he told the UFO podcast, and I've always had a mistrust of government. So when you combine the two of those, that's the kind of where my position is rooted from. So, interesting take. And I've made no secret that I'm a believer in UAPs and UFOs and aliens and whatnot, because, again, sheer size of the universe, we're the only thing that's alive here. Kind of doubt it. Are they flying here crashing stuff? No, but mechanical failure can happen to even the best of shit. So again,
that's true. That's very true.
Like, you know, I mean, if aliens come here and let's say they're coming here in significant numbers, there's bound to be an accident. I mean, it's like cars. Sure, cars are safer than they've ever been, but there's hundreds of car accidents a day, if not thousands. So, you know, the numbers support it. But here's a take, I think probably not too radical, I think. If there is anything the government is hiding, if the US government does have a secret retrieval program or something, I guarantee you, Alex, it's going to be some goofy guy from like Montana or something. He's going to say something on the Senate floor in front of view of cameras, and they're going to let the whole thing spill out, and it's going to be an accident. Someone is going to be goofy enough to think, well, I know about this secret Pentagon briefing because I was there. Oh, shit, I shouldn't have said that. And it's going to come out in a completely unexpected manner. And it's going to be that guy gets kicked out of Congress remarkably fast and then probably gets, you know, mysteriously gets yeeted out a window or something like our friends over in Russia. It's going to be something stupid and it's going to be a complete accident. There's going to be no amount of Senate oversight committees and official briefings. You're never going to get an official answer because if there is something hiding, that is world-shaking to the core. That would change the face of modern religion and philosophy. If they're like, oh yeah, there's guys coming from Zeta Reticuli on the regular. By the way, how about them budgets and don't you dare vote Democrat? It's going to be something so stupid that some idiot is just going to let it slip. Or if there are super secret people that are controlling it, we're never going to know. And it's going to be something weird, like short of them showing up on the White House front lawn or a formation appears over like New York City and like 10 million people see it. What are you going to do? Right? Like, or somebody captures it on Twitter and Elon Musk says it. And that guy's a Looney Tune too. Like there's nothing that's going to happen that we're ever going to get confirmation, but it's weird comments like this. Like it just proves to me the idiocy of the people that are in charge of these high called secrets. Like this is a completely different rant, but indulge me for just a moment. There's a thing going on in the States right now where they are convinced kids are using litter boxes in schools. And this has been debunked so many times over. So there's this elected guy, again, from I'm pretty sure Montana, who's like, we're going to take these furries, his words, not mine. We're going to put them in the pound if they're using litter boxes in schools. And it's always a friend of a friend's kid that they heard this from, that this is happening. And all these school districts have always come out and said, yeah, this isn't happening. And it's always these weird Republican guys that always come out and say the strangest things ever. And they go on the record and say this, and they always film it. And it's always these pseudo religious types or people who believe unusual things, and I guess I'm counted among that number too. It's a wonder anything gets done, and it blows my mind with the guys who have potentially the power to end the world, and he's talking about fucking angels and multidimensional beings, and he's on the record. I'd like to point this out. You voted for this guy, like,
yep.
End rant. It blows my mind. So on to stupider things today. This story comes courtesy of CNN.com. Whether you trust them or not, I don't know. But eBay has had to pay $3 million after former employees sent live insects in a bloody pig mask to harass a couple. And this is a story that's been a long time gestating, so I'm so glad this is finally over-ish.
Yeah, by the way, it is, for anybody listening, this is 100% true.
Yep.
Proven in court. People are convicted. They admitted guilt.
Yeah, I've been following this case for about 2 years now, and I'm like, holy crap. So anyway, eBay will pay $3 million in a criminal penalty for a harassment campaign, including sending live cockroaches of a Massachusetts-based couple who ran a newsletter that was sometimes critical of the company. eBay was charged with six criminal offenses, including stalking, witness tampering, obstruction of justice, after several of the company's employees sent disturbing packages to the home of Ina and David Steiner in 2019, when a bloody pig mask, a fetal pig, live insects, and a funeral wreath were sent there. According to a Massachusetts U.S. Attorney's Office statement, the $3 million settlement announced Thursday is a statutory maximum fine for eBay. The state's acting U.S. Attorney Joshua Levy called eBay's conduct, quote, absolutely horrific in a statement. Quote, the company's employees and contractors involved in this campaign put the victims through pure hell in a petrifying campaign aimed at silencing the reporting and protecting the eBay brand, Levi said. As part of its settlement, eBay will be required to retain an independent corporate compliance monitor for 3 years and enhance its compliance program. In a Thursday statement on the company website, eBay CEO Jamie Ione called the company's conduct in 2019, quote, wrong and reprehensible. You might say that. We continue to extend our deepest apologies to the Steiners for what they endured. Since these events occurred, new leaders have joined the company, and eBay has strengthened its policies, procedures, controls, and training, Ione said. According to the U.S. Attorney's statement, eBay employees, including Jim Baugh, eBay Senior Director of Safety and Security at the time, were frustrated with the tone of the Steiners' newsletters, which aimed to provide information to eBay sellers. The intimidation campaign, which took place in August 2019, sought to push the couple to change the content of their newsletter. The disturbing packages included, according to a previous Department of Justice statement, a box of live cockroaches, a book on surviving the loss of a spouse, and pornography.
Which, so if kids do some of those things, it's kind of a joke. When you, as a business with millions of dollars, billions of dollars even, send a condolence letter, that's a threat against somebody's life.
Yeah, like it's unbelievably fucked, and it gets worse when you really dig into the minutia of this, but I'll get into that. So the harassment of the couple by eBay employees didn't stop at gruesome packages, though. The employees traveled to the Steiners' home in Massachusetts to surveil them and install a GPS tracking device on their car. The employees also posted the company's address on Craigslist, inviting the public for sexual encounters at their home. Quote, we left no stone unturned in our mission to hold accountable every individual who turned the victim's world upside down through a never-ending nightmare of menacing and criminal acts, Levi said. Baugh, whom Levi called the ringleader, was sentenced to 57 months in prison in September 2022. 6 other employees also faced felony convictions for their involvement in the crimes. eBay says it has terminated all involved employees in 2020, including the company's former Chief Communications Officer. The former Chief Communications Officer has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing. So what they used to do in this thing is they were sending letters to like Penthouse Forum, and they were getting them sent to wrong addresses, but making sure that their name was on it. So they had like Hustlers, Barely Legal, and all this really fucked up porn and everything. And it was a fucking nightmare. And just the fact that you don't like the tone of someone's newsletter? Who gives a shit? It's not like they're fucking CNN or the New York Post or the Washington Times or it's not like they're the Locker Gnome newsletter. And I know that's an old poll which has like tens of thousands of readers or whatever. Who cares? Who cares? It's your job. No one's going to listen. And if they do, like eBay's doing something wrong, you put out a statement, you strengthen your corporate position. I can't believe they thought this was something so threatening that they thought, hey, you know what'd be cool? Let's send a package of live cockroaches to somebody's house. How is that even remotely okay? And someone said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to follow that guy's order. He signs my like paychecks. That's when you go to the company, the head of eBay and say, hey man, could you come over here for like 5 minutes and just say, hey, I really got to talk to you. Like, the fact that this even made it to a court, like the fact that this wasn't busted before the first package of cockroaches went out, blows my mind.
Oh,
like, it got this far. Years. Yep. 2019. We are in 2024. $3 million for that harassment, for God knows what it did to their reputation in the community. My opinion, that damages should have been at least tripled. And eBay should have to, I don't know, do a lot more than just friggin' that. I don't know. That is, to quote Letterkenny, it's fucking embarrassing. And just, yeah. Moving on to our final story this week. This one comes courtesy of CBC.ca. Try not to let the moose lick your car. Parks Canada warns as more salt-seeking animals flock to highways. Park agency says moose lick cars on salted roads in the winter to meet their high salt intake. Parks Canada is warning drivers not to stop while on highways to let moose lick their cars this winter. This peculiar message comes as moose have been trekking on the highways to lick salt off roads and passing vehicles, says Tracy McKay with the National Parks Agency. Quote, it does sound very funny. It's okay to laugh at it as long as people drive responsibly and do what's best for the wildlife, she said. McKay says Parks Canada puts out a warning every winter as moose venture down to highways to fuel their salt intake. Unfortunately, this kind of puts the moose at risk of being injured or killed as they get hit by a vehicle. Parks Canada understands that seeing these wildlife is a real highlight for a lot of people, but we ask people not to stop so that the moose can't get used to licking the salt off cars. Roy Ray, an assistant professor at the University of Northern British Columbia, has been studying moose for 25 years, particularly why they come close to transportation corridors. Quote, it just turns out that one of those reasons moose are there is because of the road salt that is applied to the winter to de-ice roads, he says. Ree says the large creatures search for salt in the winter because they need a lot of sodium to maintain their bodily functions. In the summer, there's a lot of greenery around, and those plants have a lot more minerals in it, and in the winter, they typically don't have access to that. They have to go where they can find the salt, and one of the most convenient places for them is to cross the road and give it a lick, he said. Adding cars have become an enticing treat due to the salt residue from winter driving. Reese said he's never personally experienced it. One of his many friends in northern BC have seen it happen. With December and January being the darkest and most often coldest months, Rhea is warning drivers to be extra cautious while driving on highways. You've got this big, dark, brown, black moose standing on a black asphalt road with a black background, and you don't see it until it's too late, he says. It just so happens that peak moose vehicle collisions that we have in BC are in December and January when it's the darkest and we're doing the most of our driving in low-light conditions. Parks Canada first started warning people after it received calls from drivers going through Alberta's Jasper National Park who are seeing moose come up to lick their cars, says McKay. He has nearly 4 moose are killed every year by vehicles in that area. McKay says despite the agency using sand for the park's roads, moose are still drawn to the trace amounts of salt found on the sand. There's been a few projects in various places that have tried salt alternatives, but they tend to be more expensive or they don't work out well or both. Adding the warning is a way to preserve Canada's moose population. It's just if it's going to be safe to keep if it's going to be safe to keep running out the moose, then we recommend people just try to slow and carefully drive away. Just try not to let the moose lick your car. Yeah, that's pretty weird. Now I have seen one encounter with a moose in a vehicle in my entire life, and it wasn't during the winter. It was when I was about, I don't know, maybe 14 or 15. I'm driving with my grandmother through northern Ontario, and a moose had come out onto the highway. And this is like something at a final destination. The driver hit the moose of this transport truck that was hauling logs. The moose and the driver died, as you can guess. But the way the driver died was particularly horrific, and I kind of can see
I'm already laughing, but I feel horrible for laughing. Excuse my laughter.
Because
I'm just imagining something horrific.
Oh, yeah, because like I said, this is like something right at a final destination. It wasn't the impact of the transport truck hitting the moose that killed the driver. It's his load had come loose from the back of his car, of the truck.
Trigger warning for people. Sorry.
Yeah, basically what had happened is the logs that he was hauling came through the front of his cab. And I remember driving past this with my grandmother. She's like, Michael, please don't look. And I glanced for just a second and I saw people with water cleaning off the highway. And I was like, oh my God. I caught just enough where I have like a single frame in my mind. And I don't recall how much, I can recall just enough detail to know that's a horrible thing. But it's like,
if you have to tell yourself something, at least know that whatever mess they were cleaning was probably 90% moose.
Yeah, like I'm gonna hope that person didn't suffer, but it was just...
Oh, dude, I'll tell you this right now. As much as I'm laughing, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but like, if it dislodged the load and it came through the back of the cab, that was instant.
Yeah, like there was no chance. And it's strange to see how many people do hit animals. And what I mean by that is we have all this amazing technology. Like we have these brighter than hell LED lamps in our cars. But people drive so fast or recklessly. You got to be careful out there. Like I've hit a deer, one of my only times that... Right when I had in Canada, or in Ontario rather, we have what's known as the graduated licensing system. And I had a G1 at the time and I was being taught how to drive.
Basically a learner's permit for our listeners.
Yeah. So I had a learner's permit and I was driving at the time with Blair and she was taking me through some back roads. And figure it's a good place to learn. It's the middle of the night, not exactly super legal, but legal enough where I'm not likely to hurt somebody. I hit a deer. Now, granted, the deer was already dead, thank God, but I didn't see it till it was too late, and I was paying attention. So stuff like that can happen. When I was with my grandmother, same road trip, going out to Alberta, we almost hit a black bear. Like, it doesn't take much, and you would be surprised. And as much as moose they're great, majestic creatures, don't fuck with them.
They are of such a size. Like, people think, oh, a moose, you see movies and that. Like, a moose standing up is like, it may as well be a giraffe.
Yeah, it's like the Predator. It's like 1.5 meters, 2 meters tall.
With the antlers up high, it's like 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
And you look at them, like, you see videos like of them standing next to a raised pickup truck and they're taller.
Yeah.
Like they're one of the largest, outside, actually, I think they might be the largest land mammal here, like not in height.
In North America, for sure.
North America. Like you think grizzlies or polar bears are bigger than grizzlies, but and they probably weigh more. But I would say that a moose is probably the tallest and largest overall land mammal.
Oh yeah,
and they, like, not in the world, obviously, you stuff in Asia and Africa, but like here, they're like literally 3 times the size of a deer.
Yeah, like you are not like, and the fact that people go out and hunt these things with crossbows and bows is astounding. And my people used to hunt them with nothing but bows and spears. Impressive.
They're of such a size that they don't fear cars.
No.
They for instance, like a deer, you're like, oh, it's like a deer in the headlights. Deers will freeze and freak out because they're afraid.
Moose will charge you.
A moose doesn't get scared in the headlights. A moose will stand there because it doesn't think you can hurt it.
Yeah, or it may see you as a threat and charge you.
Yeah, like that's how big they are. They don't see moving vehicles as a threat because in their world they're king. Yeah. Like you don't hear, like, you'll hear of like, oh, bears and wolves and that will occasionally attack like a deer. Mm-hmm. They don't really go after moose.
Yeah, I don't even know what the natural predator is of a moose. Maybe wolves, maybe?
Like they are like a moose is like top level herbivore.
Yeah, like that's not something to fuck with.
I don't like they're like apex. They're not apex predator. They're like apex herbivores. There's nothing really beyond them.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things like, but still. So anyway, folks, drive safe, be smart. If an animal tries to lick your car, just get out of there as quickly and safely as you can. Just
get out of there, because if a moose wants to, they can flip your car.
Yeah, like don't mess with it, man. It is not worth the selfie or the TikTok. Just not worth it.
They're the cobra chickens of the deer world.
So anyway, guys, we're going to take
large, stupid, and powerful.
So we're going to take our final break here on This Week in Geek, and we're going to take a look at our first movie of the year here on the show. And this is a movie that I've heard about for decades. My wife quotes it at me endlessly, and I didn't know what the hell she was talking about until a couple of days ago. This is Varsity Blues from our friends over at Paramount Home Entertainment. And with that, we will be right back right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
In America, we have laws. And it's just accepted that as a member of American society, you will live by these laws. In West Canaan, Texas, there is another society which has its own laws.
We woke up in the Twilight Zone. West Canaan. Sex and football. That's all there is.
Hey, Mom! Let's roll!
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman. I got something really neat we got from our friends over at Paramount Home Entertainment. I'm talking about the 4K Ultra HD version of Varsity Blues. This is the movie that I've heard talked about in my life for literally decades at this point. My wife Blair endlessly quotes this at me, and up until a few days ago, I had no idea what the hell she was talking about. I've heard endlessly about the whipped cream bikini scene with Ali Larter. This is, the guy from Dawson's Creek's really big movie, and, well, I guess Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Yeah, this is one of those movies that's basically, if you grew up in the 90s and if you're into that small town football kind of vibe, this was probably in your VHS collection or early DVD at some point in your life. Again, I remember this being very much a staple of where I grew up in the Owen Sound area, but I'm not a football guy. The most football movies I've seen is like The Waterboy, Gridiron Gang, and Rudy. And Rudy is, I remember seeing that in grade 8 because my teacher didn't want to teach that day. But anyway, to the movie itself. Story of a small town football team where the coach is wanting to have yet another big winning season. James Vanderbeek's character is seen as a second string guy. He wants to prove himself, but he also doesn't know whether football wants to be his life, and shenanigans ensue. It's a pretty good movie in a lot of ways. I mean, I really enjoyed my time with it. There's a lot of colorful characters in here. A very young Paul Walker, which was kind of cool to see him. James Vanderbeek trying to do a southern accent, which I swear to God goes away like a scene or two later. This is one of the only movies I can remember seeing Ali Larter on the big screen. I'm mostly familiar with her work from Heroes and a lot of TV work that she's done. So, okay, cool, I guess. And then John Voight, yelling and screaming at people and berating them. And as someone who grew up in a football town and a hockey town, I know a lot of coaches like this, so they're not great people. But yeah, fantastic movie. Really can't recommend it enough. I mean, if you like the original on VHS and DVD, you're probably going to buy this. Now, they talk about the 4K Ultra HD transfer. It looks good. It's really sharp. The blacks are nice and deep. The blues are nice and deep. There's one scene right near the end where the coach walks out into a long hallway, and it's very lit with these various colors of blues and blacks. Looks fantastic. Yeah, it's a really good transfer. Really no complaints there. It sounds great. Really good soundtrack in this movie. It was kind of nice to hear some Offspring stuff off their second album, Smash, which is one of my favorites of all time. And yeah, again, now to talk about the Blu-ray of this, as far as I know, it's a repack. I mean, it's a lot of legacy special features. There's a commentary on there, a couple other things about football, and there's also a thing about one of the actors, the guy who played Billy Bob, talking about his travels with gastric bypass surgery, which I had last year. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Again, this is pretty much a visual upgrade. I mean, if you own the original Blu-ray and if you want that real visual pop that 4K Ultra HD offers you, yeah, it's not bad. I mean, as far as football movies go, is it as memorable as Rudy? I'd say it's a better movie in the fact that it's not as cheesy rah. It's definitely in that teen sports dramedy, I guess you could call it, because there are some funny moments in this. But I think this movie does stand the test of time. There are some words in here that don't necessarily fly in 2024, but it is what it is. So yeah, can I recommend Varsity Blues? Well, if you liked the original way back in the 90s, and if you're into those sports movies, like I said, this is pretty much one of the quintessential sports movies to come out around that time, and having a superior 4K Ultra HD transfer of that film, I really can't complain. So once again, that is Varsity Blues, coming to us from Paramount Home Entertainment. I can recommend this. So 10-10 Hut, I guess? I don't know football, and probably never will.
Before this game started, Kilmer said 48 minutes for the next 48 years of our lives. I say f that, right? I say f that. Let's go out there and we'll play the next 24 minutes for the next 24 minutes. And we'll leave it all out on the field. We got the rest of our lives to be mediocre, but we have the opportunity to play like gods for the next half of football.
I'm worried that Ajax might be in the clutches of the filthiest, greediest animals on Earth.
Cable system operators?
Hey guys, welcome back to ThisWeekInGeek.net. So once again, thank you for joining us on our first show of 2024. And like I said, guys, 17 years as of either this week or next week. I don't know. It's been a long time, man. You can't expect me to remember every single date. But yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff coming up this year. Me and Alex have really kind of planned out the year to do recordings on a very consistent basis now. It's actually worked with my very busy schedule, because I've actually, one thing I didn't talk about during the intro there is I've rearranged a lot of my volunteer hours. So I'm only volunteering with a couple of orgs this year. Some of them are more involved. Some of them I'm choosing to do more work in my local community as opposed to doing something on the federal and provincial level here. I mean, I'm still involved in that, but I'm involved in a very more niche capacity. So if somebody needs me, yeah, sure, I'll come when called. But some of the orgs I've had to walk away from, just to put it in my religious terms, creators calling me in a different direction. I think I can do more here, and I think I'll be able to do more with less, if that makes any kind of sense. Plus, I'm going to be doing more stuff with the Guelph Storm Trackers. You've been following me on TikTok. And one of the things I'm going to do this year, and I hope some people will hold me accountable to this, is a YouTuber I follow. His name is Pokey Daxi. He's a content creator from Ottawa for Pokemon Go. He did a 24-hour Pokemon Go challenge, and he did that. I'm going to do something very, very similar in my chair. I'm going to have to come home to charge it a couple times during this challenge and probably get off my tailbone for a few hours just to make sure that I can do this. But I'm going to stay awake for 24 hours, and I'm going to play Pokemon Go as much as I can, maybe go out in the car while my chair charges and just catch as much as I can in 24 hours and log every few hours or every hour on TikTok and just kind of have a blast with it. And I think that might be kind of fun for me, just to see what I can do, because I'm so close to the end game of this game. I think it'd be something kind of fun. And I'm trying to think of what else is coming up. As Alex posted, he just put up my first episode of Botched Roll. I recorded that just before the break, and I'm probably going to be recording something this week, because I've been, as I mentioned off the top of the show, I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3. And it's really revitalized my love for D&D. And I've kind of got an idea for something I'm going to bring to my new game. And I kind of just want to muse and ruminate on that. Plus, I got a bunch of books I got for review that I really want to talk about. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. Plus, now that we have a regular recording schedule for me and Alex and Aaron, I think we're going to get a lot more out. Plus, working with David from Do You Even Movie has been great. Hopefully we'll have Enrique back on the show, which I do want to send a very quick condolence out to Enrique. Unfortunately, my buddy's dog, Chicano, passed away a couple of days ago from his battle with cancer. But Enrique gave that dog the best life he possibly could. He went so much in the debt trying to save Chicano. And honestly, if that was Dr. Wiley, I would have done the same thing. And I feel for the guy. So I put out some tobacco for him. I'm
if you believe in the hereafter, I hope him and Wiley are being friends, because Wiley loved everybody. And I get the very good feeling just from reading what Enrique's written about Chicano, that dog liked everybody too. From being a dog who was beaten and abused to being someone's cuddle buddy. Like, if you rescue an animal from a shelter, you're really doing a kindness to
every day that somebody has a dog or a cat or a pet in a good home, with love, food, and shelter, it is a day longer than they would have had on their own. So however short it could, you might have a pet only for a few months. You might have a pet for several years or decades. It doesn't matter how long it is. It matters the quality of life that they had that you gave them. And it sounds like you gave a really good home.
Yeah. And I said this to Enrique, and I mean it. Like, when Wiley passed away, I said, I'm never changing my Facebook. Like, my Facebook profile right now, I only have friends and some fan interactions on there. It's Wiley sleeping with Shit Pickle, and it's Wiley in his box. That will never change. And I got a feeling with Enrique and Chicano and Henwolf, he'll probably leave his Facebook up like that for a very long time, maybe even forever. And I think that's a good way to honor them. I mean, at some point you have to move on. I mean, I've got Beaker, Dutch, and Ayla, and Ayla's 15 years old, so I don't know what's going to happen there. She is my baby girl, and I'm always going to treasure that.
Yeah.
But you always have that one pet that is your soulmate.
And don't forget, like, when eventually it's their time to pass, you always have room for more love to give to more new animals that need a home.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the idea. It's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's the end of a certain moment in time. And then you got to consider that no matter what if you wanted more time, you also have to consider, was it their time? You gave them this plenty long time of love and life and everything. You don't want them to suffer. You want them to be happy, relaxed when they go. And then, you can then look at the horizon and go, who else can I help?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, final word I'll say on this is when Logan got sick, my first cat, when we made the decision for him to go down because he had really bad stomach cancer, the doctors said to us, it's probably too late, but his personality hasn't changed. And I wanted Logan to go out while he was still him, while he wasn't hurting. He wasn't in so much pain. He wasn't recognizable. And Logan knew he was loved. And when I was on the phone with him as he was being put down, he fought hard to come back. And when Wiley went, I was at the vet's office. I couldn't get into the office due to my wheelchair, but I held him minutes before he went down. And I know Blair was with him the entire time. So I feel comfort in that. So I know Enrique did the best he could for Chicano. If you want to find out more, you can go over to Enrique's social media and find out. But to bring this up on a positive note before we end out for this particular show, like I said, we got a lot of good stuff coming up. I feel very good about this year. And the fact that I have such a strong team with us, with Ken, we're going to do more stuff with JT this year now that he's a little bit more stable in his employment. Having David from Do You Even Movie has been wonderful. I've recorded 2 shows with him during the break. I recorded something on a pair of Judd Nelson movies called Cabin by the Lake, which are on the USA Network. And we also, Alex gave me this idea, but I did it with Dave. We took a look at the Invasion of the Body Snatchers movies. I looked at the one from 1978 and the one from 1993. And I've got some thoughts. And I got to say, I am so glad I watched these movies after knowing about them for literal decades. I really hope you guys will enjoy these remake movies that we're going to be talking about over the course of the year. And then me and Alex are already starting to talk about, we've got a Halloween show to do later on this year. What are we going to do for that? So it's going to be a really good year. And especially even with gaming and E3, the PlayStation 5 is in a really good position, as we just discussed in the show. Xbox, not so much. And the Switch 2 is rumored to come out this year. I got a feeling, Alex, we're not going to be sleeping a lot all the way until Holiday Gift Guide in December, and we'll see what shenanigans happen at the holiday or at the the game show this year. Fortunately, no security incidents this year.
Yeah,
but
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it, guys. So again, thank you for 17 years of support. I could not do it without Alex, with all my friends on this podcast, and with all the people who contributed once upon a time. So anyway, guys, so for This Week in Geek, we have been
Alex, the producer.
I've been Mike, the Birdman, saying it's 2024. Be excellent to each other. We'll catch you guys again next time, right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.